Hi guys, thanks for joining me on Making with Marilyn. On today's video, I make a cup turner from start to finish. Now, if you don't want to watch me cut the wood and drill the holes in the wood, you can just fast forward through that and see how it is assembled. But I did want to show you the entire process. If you like the video, if you find something in it helpful or inspiring, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or even better, suggestions for other people on how you can improve on my process, please leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to watch what I'll be working on in the future, hit the subscribe button. If you also want to receive notification of when I upload new content, hit the bell. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is square off this piece of plywood. This is just a scrap piece of plywood. It was what we had left off something that my husband ripped, and it's a sanded plywood. It's 6 inches wide right now, but it doesn't have to be exactly 6 inches wide. So let me go ahead and get started. Again, I'm just going to square off the end so that I have nice square ends. Okay, with that done, I'm going to cut my short pieces at 6 inches. I'm going to mark the first one, and then I'll use the first one to determine the length of my second one. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to lay the first piece on top. Make sure that the ends are really butted up and straight on top of each other. Then I can pull my blade down and I can push the top one to the left back over so it just touches the blade. Now I'm just going to check and make sure that those are level or that they're even. Perfect. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of determine how long I want my board to be on the bottom. I think that I want it to be about 22 inches. But I'll just set these up. And the way I have them set up is I have about 5.5 inches between the two pieces. Let me grab my cup. Now I'll have a hole with the PVC coming through, and I want to make sure that I have enough room for the cup over the board so that if any of the epoxy falls, it'll fall onto the board. I like it about right there. Okay, so that's out at 19 inches. If I were to have a taller cup, and they do make them, I think I'd like to go out to 22 inches. So that's what I plan on doing. Okay, so I'm going to find the center of my wood. And then I want to measure down 2¼ inches. This is just to find the center of the 2 holes that I'm going to be drilling. Okay, so on this first one that I'm doing for the shaft of the motor plus this little thing, remember I decided I needed 5/8 inch hole to accommodate that. So I'll go ahead and get the 5/8 inch bit put in. Okay, so I have my 5/8 inch Forstner bit in. I'm going to go ahead and find the center of my hole. There it is. And just hold the wood tight. Okay, there we go. And then the last one that I need to do is my 7/8 inch hole in my other upright. Remember, 7/8 inch is about the diameter of the outside of 1/2 inch PVC pipe. I have the 7/8 inch paddle bit. This hole is less than 7/8 inch in diameter, so you got to make sure that you have your base plate low enough that this can't go down into it and really do bad things to it. And then so that you get the hole all the way through this piece, you have a piece of scrap wood under it that you can really drill down into. Okay, so I'm just going to find the center again, get my safety glasses on. Hopefully you can see past my thumb. Okay. Okay, think that's good. Okay, so I went ahead and I knocked off some of the rough edges of all the pieces of wood with just one of these little spongy sander things, and we're ready to move on. The first thing that I'm going to do, okay, so this is how they're going to be set up. I have my piece of wood with the smaller hole in the back. That's what the shaft of the motor will go through. And then I have the piece with the larger hole for the PVC pipe in front of it. What I want to do first of all is just get them set up the way I want it. Mark it off. Then I want my front one to be about 5 inches in front of my back one. So I have this side set up where I want it, but I'm going to use this speed square to really get it squared up nicely. Now I can draw my lines on each side of it. Now I'm just going to drill some pilot holes to start with, and then I'll flip it over and attach those to the correct side. This is just a scrap piece of wood. I want to hold it up off my table so I don't accidentally put holes into my table. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hold it up on this end too so that I'm level. I'm just going to put 3 screws on each end. So I'll drill my pilot holes first. Try to be as straight up and down as you can be. Now if you want to be exact, you could measure off exactly where you want your holes. It's not that important to me that it be exact. So they went through. Now, just going to do 3 pilot holes inside of the second set of lines that I put in there. Okay, those all went through as well. Okay, so let me get this set up. There we go. Now I'm just going to get each of these, oops, let me change this out. Okay, now what I'm using these are Torx head screws. We just happen to have these left from when we built our deck. We're not building a deck today, so if you don't have these, don't worry about running out and buying these. You just need some screws that'll go through wood. I would recommend, however, that the top of your screws are at least a flat screw, not a rounded screw. So again, I'm just going to get them started. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and place my board on top of it. Getting it lined up on the sides and the back side. What you don't want is you don't want your back side to get cockeyed. So I'm going to put the middle screw in first, and then I'll adjust it from there. So I'm going to throw my speed square on it and just adjust as necessary. Okay, so your speed square sits flat on this, and then if it's flat against this board, you're good to go. I could do this one next. All right. So there's our first piece that we have on. Okay, so we'll go ahead and turn this over. Again, I want my prettier side out so that I see it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my screws started. You can get your screws started, and if you feel afterwards that you went too far, just back them up a little bit. So again, I'll get the middle one set first, and then I'll put my speed square on it to get them straightened up. Okay, so you can probably see they don't go straight on my pencil lines, and that's why if you do the middle one, you can still pivot it. I might have to back it up a little bit. Let me loosen that up a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our speed square on it and lift it up off the table. Okay, so now it's all straightened up. So I think I'll go ahead, while I can hold that, get that middle one tightened back down just a little bit. Let me check it again, make sure it didn't do something funny. Okay, that looks nice and square. Okay, now I don't know if you can tell, but these are set into the wood enough that they're not going to scratch my table. This one is also, so is this one. This one I didn't set it real tight yet, so I need to push that down in a little further. There we go. The next thing that I want to do is attach my coupling to my motor shaft, and let me show you what I purchased here. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. I got 3 of the motors, 6 of the couplings, and enough set screws for 6 couplings, plus the little Allen wrench that you use to set your set screws for $19.99. So each tumbler turner is a little less than $7 as far as those materials go. Okay, I'll set this aside for a minute. Here is the little motor I just showed you on Amazon. And it came with 2 of these couplings. I just need 1. And it came with this little Allen wrench to set the set screws. And then it came with 4 set screws, which I only need 2. Now this little coupling, see the holes there? Basically, you are going to slide the coupling on to the shaft of the motor until your holes line up, or they come close to lining up. That one lined up. And then these little set screws just go right in that little hole. Yeah, just a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, so I just saw what I was doing wrong. One end of the set screw is solid, one has a hole in it for the Allen wrench. I was probably trying to put my Allen wrench into the solid end. So set that down in there. You can either use this end and twist and pick it up and twist, or you can use this end, and that way you can just spin it. Okay, so there we go. Now let me make sure the holes are still lined up. Yep. So I'm not going to tighten it down quite all the way until I have my other set screw in place. Okay, so this time I'm going to set the set screw down on the Allen wrench. There we go. That's probably a better way to do it. And then I'll put my set screw right there into the hole and just start turning my little Allen wrench. Okay, I'm going to tighten it down. Come back to this side and tighten it down a little bit better. Okay. Okay, so now I want to just put the shaft of this, or the coupling and the shaft of this through my hole, and I'm going to tighten this down to the board. Okay, so these are just some screws that my husband had laying around. You'll probably have to purchase some for yours. Now, one thing that's important to know is, so your coupling right there, it's coming through. You can't just let the motor sit on the bottom of the hole, or that's going to bog down your motor. It's going to make it hard for your motor to turn. So we're going to actually lift it up. So there it is on the bottom of the hole. Here it is, it'd be on the top. You want it about centered so it's not touching any of the sides. So I'm just going to get this started, make sure that I have it placed well. Okay, so take your time adjusting these. Get it right where it needs to be. Okay, so for the next part, my husband and I went to Home Depot this evening and we got everything that we needed to make 2 tumbler turners. And included, I have 2 of these lamp cord kits. I have 2 1/2-inch male PVC adapters. And then I have 2 of the female PVC adapters, and those will go together like that. You could do without these if you just wanted to use one long piece of PVC pipe, but I want to be able to just put on a cup on the end, spin it for a while, take it off, add another cup. So you'll see what I mean a little bit later. So 2 sets of female and male adapters, and then I bought 2 extra female adapters, and I'll explain why later. And then I have 2 caps for the end of my PVC pipe, and then I got 2 of these 2-foot PVC pipes. So all of this from Home Depot again was $21.77, and it's enough to make 2 tumbler turners. So I'll go ahead and open one of these lamp cord kits. Okay, so you'll see on this, here's the part that plugs into the wall. This is a 6-foot cord, and about 5 feet in you have this switch. You just turn it to turn it off and on. That way you don't have to plug and unplug. And then you have this candelabra base that you're going to have to remove. So this is a pair of wire strippers, has a cutter part on it too. And so in the back part of the jaw is where you need to put it to cut it. Now I want to keep as much cord as possible, so I'm just going to bend that out of the way. And just cut that right off. Okay, so you could either use a knife or scissors, or you could just still use the flat piece back here, the jaws, and just kind of cut this apart. Then once I get them cut apart, they'll pull apart. Okay, so now I need to cut off about a quarter, close to half an inch, somewhere in there, of the plastic covering. And these wire strippers have numbers on them. The smaller the number, the larger gauge the wire is. So I'm just going to kind of start somewhere in the middle. Okay, that looks pretty good. Go ahead and do it on my other side. Okay. So hopefully you can see that. Okay, so here's the leads off my motor. So now you have to join your two sets of wire, and it doesn't matter which side of this goes to which side of that. So I'm going to just kind of twist them at the base here. And then that's a little long, so I'm going to cut off just a little bit. This is a wire nut, and so I'm just going to feed that down in here and then turn clockwise. And eventually it kind of stops turning. So now I'll get my other two ends. And you see I have them side by side, and the plastic is ending about the same place. I'm going to twist those together. Right now they're about a half an inch, and I want to get them down to about a quarter inch, a little over a quarter inch. So I'm going to cut some of that off. Take another wire nut and twist clockwise. Okay. So now, theoretically, if I plug this in, it should turn. Let me see if I can find an extension cord and test that out. Now, one thing to note on here is this motor will turn either clockwise, that's what the CW means, or counterclockwise, CCW. So what I want to do is I'm going to work like this. So my tumbler is going to be on this end. And I'm right-handed, so I want my tumbler to spin clockwise. So it'll go that way, and if I just rub the epoxy resin on, it'll turn that way, and it'll work well for being right-handed. So I'm hoping it spins clockwise. If it does not spin clockwise, then I just have to take the leads apart and switch them, and then it will go the correct direction. Make sure that you unplug your cord before you do that. Okay, so let me get this closer to the camera. This should turn if I did this correctly. Awesome, it is turning, and it's actually turning clockwise. So it is going the direction that I hoped it would go. Let's go ahead and turn that off and unplug it. Okay, the next thing that I need to do is I need to drill a hole into my cap so that I'll be able to attach it to my motor. This is just my piece of scrap wood. You want to try to get it in the center as best you can. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that this is a 5/32 drill bit. That's the size of it. And so I have my hole in it. That looks pretty good. I didn't have the right type of screw that I needed for this little coupling or adapter thing. So my husband got up this morning and ran to Ace. And he bought a couple of screws. They are 4mm screws. That's a metric screw. That's what they look like. One is 3/8 in length and one is 5/16 in length. Wasn't sure exactly the length we needed, so we got both of those. One of them cost 23 cents and one was 25 cents. So they're very affordable. Okay, so I'm going to start with the little screw that's 5/16 inches in length. Got my little bitty stubby screwdriver. You could either use a really short one, or you could use one that has a long enough shaft to go through this hole and then reach that one. But I'm going to use this one. Okay, then as you tighten it down, hold that PVC cap where it needs to be. That feels pretty solid. So then the next thing that I'll do is I'll go ahead and put my PVC pipe in. Now you could glue this, you could put some PVC glue around this edge and glue it in. I'm going to try it without that first and see if it'll hold well enough. Now I just had my husband cut this. Oh yeah, that's pretty tight. I think that'll be fine. I had my husband cut this to 7 inches in length. He just used the hacksaw. If I knew how long I wanted it yesterday, I could have done it on the miter saw. You could use a hacksaw. You could use a PVC pipe cutter if you have that. If you don't have any of those, when you buy it, just ask Home Depot or Lowe's to cut it for you. Okay, so the next thing then is I have my male PVC adapter. I should have taken the price tag off. So it looked nice. Woo! Okay, that went flying. Go ahead and tighten that on, and I would hold your PVC pipe on this end so that you're not really putting a lot of pressure against your motor or anything, and you can really press this on tight. So now the next thing that I need to do is I need to figure out how long I want the little stubby part to be that's going to actually hold my cup. So this would be attached to the other one. This is the leftover PVC pipe from cutting the 7 inches off, and it would go in here, but I need to figure out how long I want that to be. And then my football will go on the end. And I got this at Dollar Tree store. It had this long thing hanging off of it, and I just pulled that out, and the hole is perfect for this PVC pipe. Okay, so if I have my football right here and I shove it onto my cup, I need to move this over so you can see. I still have plenty of room for the epoxy resin to drip. So I think I'll have my husband cut it. Okay, so I need to take into consideration that it's going to go 2 more inches into the football. So I want the football to be here. I'm going to add about 2 inches. Okay, so I'll make this mark on it for my husband to cut that off. Okay, so he went ahead and cut this off, and you'll see when you use a hacksaw, it's really pretty nasty looking. So you can just take some type of knife or something and scrape around those edges. Knock all those extra little pieces off. That cleans it up really nicely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in the football, make sure this really is the length I want. I can always have him cut another one. So push it all the way in to give it the most stability. Take that back off. It's going to be easier to do it without the football on there. Get that shoved in just as far as you can so it'll be really tight. Then I can unscrew it. Oops. And put my football back on. Okay, so I told you earlier that I bought two extras of these female parts, or the female PVC adapters, so that I could have my next tumbler on it, working with it just to do my painting and my glittering and all that, while another football is on here actually spinning. So I'm going to make 2 turners. I have 4 footballs, and I'll make 4 of these pieces so I have 2 spares I can be working on. So in the end, when I put it back on here, and when you're going to tumble, you want those tightened up so that your cup is not sagging, so that it's staying as level as possible. Okay, so here's the cups that I plan to be doing. I got these at, I believe it was, yes, Michael's, and they were regularly $10, but I used either a 40 or a 50% coupon off those. There is the lid, of course, and these will fit on this football just beautifully. I would recommend not doing it the way I'm doing it, but actually taking this piece off and putting your cup on with it detached so you're not putting any force against everything. And then you can just kind of get down and look and make sure it's level. If it's not, I'd recommend hold the football and just kind of pull it up a little bit. That's the beauty of these footballs, is they are shaped so that you can do that. Okay, so now that we look like we're done with one cup turner, let me go ahead and turn it on. My husband told me to remind you, if you have any exposed wire, then you need to redo it. You need to cut off some of the wire on the end, shove it in further. Once you get your nut down on there, you should not see any of the wire sticking out, because you could run the risk of getting shocked. Okay, I have my cup turner plugged in, so let me turn it on and see what we get. Okay, so my motor is turning, but my cup is not. And so either I didn't get the screw in tight enough up against the cap so that it would turn it, or maybe the screw's just a little bit too long and I need to take up some of the space under the cap. If I need to do that, I can put a washer or 2 in there. So let's do a little problem solving. Okay, so apparently I didn't have it tight enough. Let me redo this. Move it over so you can see it better. Okay, it's moving. Let me just grab it and see. Okay, that seems to be pretty good. Give it one more good twist. There. Shove the football in a little bit further. I think that's better. Lesson learned. Don't turn on the cup. Turn on the actual PVC. Okay. Try this again. Awesome. It works. Okay, so playing around with this, here's what I've discovered. Instead of the leads being what causes this to turn clockwise or counterclockwise, it's every 2 clicks. So you turn it on once, it'll go one way. Turn it off, turn it on, it continues to go that way. And then if you turn it off and immediately turn it back on, it reverses itself, and then it'll do one more time reversed. So 2 clicks will get you going the opposite direction. Okay, so that's the end of my video. If you like the video or if you find something in it that's helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to watch what I'll be working on in the future, hit the subscribe button. If you want to receive notifications when I upload new content, click on the bell. Thanks for joining me. I'm Marilyn. Bye-bye.